Hello and welcome to Stonehorse Gaming. In this episode I'm going to talk about terrain. Over the last month I have been working on this terrain collection you see before you. I have 8 rocky outcrops, 4 Romanesque ruins, 4 Saxon longhouses and 4 areas of woodland terrain. Terrain is an element of the game that I often find gets left to the last minute, is either not painted or is put down in a haphazard way and not in keeping with the game being played. Miniature gaming is essentially aesthetics. We play the game because it looks good, the physicality of it all, and an awesome paint job on wonderful models. Having terrain that's not painted does, I think, detract from that somewhat. This terrain you can see before you is virtually cheap. Now, people watching may be thinking terrain is expensive. That could be true if you go to some companies. These two came, I think it was £8 for both of them, or £5 for one from Rendara. I will put a link in the description below. So again, these are really affordable. £8, that's nothing. You can buy maybe 2 or 3 pots of paint from Games Workshop for that price, or you can get yourself 2 nice little buildings there. The easiest terrain in my collection to make are these rocky outcrops. These were simply rocks I found lying around that had nice flat bottoms so they would lie on cardboard. The cardboard in question is the cardboard from the old boxes that we get with miniatures, so not wasting anything there. What I did is I did a dry fit, so I put the rocks down, drew around the outline for the area, then just cut it out. I used some Loctite, very strong glue to glue the rocks to the base. Then to build up the cardboard, I used some all-purpose filler, followed by a wood glue and some birdcage sand, sprayed it all black. Then once that's dried, I did a wet brush of dark grey on the stones, followed by a lighter grey dry brush. This just brings out the details on the rocks and makes them look less like actual rocks from outside and more like rocky outcrops, so the scale works perfectly. Then once that's done, I just did some dry brushes onto the ground. Started with a desert yellow eye painter, followed by a bone, like a nice beige colour. Then I just glued on static grass. Nice and simple. They cost virtually nothing. If you've got paint and you've got all-purpose filler, you can make them. Just get some nice rocks with nice bottoms. Just make sure they're clean. And there we are, 8 rocky outcrops, which you can use in many systems and will do you very, very well because, well, it's a rock. They're hard. But look at them there. And here we have my Romanesque ruin areas. These are the more elaborate areas of my terrain. These were originally for Warhammer Underworlds, hence the hexagonal design of the columns. As you can see, this was for the Warhammer Underworlds Shadespire core set. As more came out, I purchased more of them. I had a friend who had a 3D printer and I just asked, can you do me some of these? And so they're online, no problem. And then same with the rocks, I just put them on a bit of cardboard again. The cardboard used, as you can see, you can kind of just make out there. This is Lord of the Rings WAG boxes. So same again, I just put them on the cardboard, cut around the area of the column. And then when I was building up with the all-purpose filler, I just made sure not to go where the column's going to be placed. This is so that units in my collection can, if need be, Dreadnought, if he's going to go over the area, I can just take the column off and then place like so. And there we are. Nice and simple. And again, looks perfect with these sort of Romanesque looking Adeptus Astartes, Contemptor Dreadnought. Some nice, well, it is Betrayal at Calf model, so yeah, Romanesque ruins. It is the same with the woodland areas. As you can see, they work perfectly for historicals. Here you can see a large horde of Mongolian spearmen in quite a large wooded area. Same thing with the columns. I've made sure that the models can go over the area terrain by just doing an outline as I was doing them. The trees I've gone for, as you can see, are quite large. This is one thing that is a slight bugbear of mine. In a lot of gaming, trees tend not to be this height, where trees, as we can all agree, are quite large in real life. So yes, I think it's nice to have trees that look sizable. There we are. So you take that in. Now this is the model that I've spent a number of hours painting, and I'm quite impressed. I think it's one of my best painted models. Now, given the amount of time, dedication I've spent on this model, it would be an absolute shame to put this model down on a battlefield where the terrain is not painted. I think that subtracts from a great paint job. There's no point in spending so much time and effort painting such beautiful models and then putting them down on a battlefield where the terrain is not painted. It just makes the models look suboptimal, subpar. So I'll put them down there. So as you can see, again, as I'm saying, my terrain is so generic, it can fit anything, and it is so easy to do. There we are. I'll do one more pan shot so you can get an idea here. So I'm saying. So very generic terrain. Ooh, knocked him over. Can go with such a wide range of models. Now this terrain looks, well, maybe, okay, I'll give you the 40k. 40k, not so much with the Saxon houses, but take away a Saxon house and put some rocky outcrops, and yeah, that does work. But even the Saxon longhouses can go with the very high fantasy of Age of Sigmar and still get a very good effect. Age of Sigmar, which is a very high fantasy, again, not out of place, and this one I can actually use the Wattle and Daub hut and it looks fine. Yeah, everything works. For example, 40k. Tyranids against Adeptus Astartes, and the ruins and the rocky outcrops and the woodlands do not look out of place. Historicals and more generic fantasy, again, it all works fine. Nothing here looks out of place. It's all generic enough to enhance the models and again make the game experience all that better. There's no point spending time painting such beautiful models to a high standard and then putting them on a battlefield with terrain that has not been painted or has not been made in consideration with the game being played, like cans of pop or old boxes to say terrain. It's far better to have the full aesthetic appeal of the game. So now you've seen the terrain collection I have. I hope if you hang around and watch some battle reports, you'll see more of this terrain in action. Many game systems I play, so you'll see a lot of different miniatures being used on this battlefield. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.